Hi friends, I sure miss seeing you all. Some of you have asked me to do a video on what to plant now, and it's mid-April 2020, so it's getting pretty warm. You know, we can have some days in the 90s up ahead, so I'll answer that question with this in mind. Mainly what we want to do is to get plants established before June. And what I mean by established is that they've been in the ground long enough, they're kind of mature, and their root systems have been able to grow out to where their water sources are, and they are ready for the desiccating dryness, the searing wind, and the intense sun that is June. So that's the idea. Already the UV index is pretty high, so that's what we're aiming for. And I would suggest that you have three options. The first one is you could plant some starts right now, and starts are bigger than seedlings. They're like a plant that would fill up a 4 or 5 inch in diameter pot. And those are young plants, usually pretty well taken care of. If you haven't grown them yourself, they're you're getting them from like the farmer's market or a nursery. And something I would suggest you stick to things like any kind of pepper, tomato, zucchini, squash, eggplant, watermelon, of course always things that you want to eat. And those would be really good starts. For example, right now, okra does great in Tucson. Hard to find people who really like okra though here. Or you can plant some seeds. And I would be really selective of the seeds that you would put in the ground right now. Personally, I would just put in as seed squashes and beans. And there's probably one other I'm not thinking of. Zucchini. Those would do well as seeds still. And they're pretty quick, vigorous growers, so you could go with one of those. And the next option is that you could plant when the monsoon moisture increases, which is most likely early July. And our summers have been unpredictable. When the rain starts falling, last year was really strange and it was dry for a long time, so that would put some stress on your plants if that didn't work out. But it could, and it could rain when we expect it to do. And I would suggest that if you do that, you try the Three Sisters planting method. It's really easy to find any information about that, and basically the idea is that you're growing corn, some kind of squash, and some kind of bean in an arrangement next to each other. And the squash will send out these nice big leaves that keep the ground cooler from their shade, and the corn, it protects the corn when it's growing into a larger plant. And then the beans add a lot of nitrogen into the ground, and it's always good to grow beans anytime when the weather is warm because of the benefit that they give to the soil. And they're really good, especially around here. There's all kinds of cool soup beans that you could grow. And then option number 3 is that you could wait until September, which might not be what you want to hear, but there are some advantages to that, especially if you haven't gotten started and you want to take time to put your irrigation system in or really think things through, but I'll get to that in just a moment. I would suggest options 1 or 2 if you want to start planting now. Let's see. Okay, so I want to leave you with a couple thoughts. I feel like I haven't said enough about all of this yet. But basically, I just want to stress with you that try to get starts if you can at the farmer's market or the nursery. And if you can't, be selective about the seeds you plant. Just the downside is it won't do well, and we want you to be successful. Okay, now the 2 things I want to leave you with is that if you've got a raised bed, which is kind of what we've been talking about mostly, is that you plant the whole thing. And not like put in a couple things and call it done, but follow the advice that you've received or can search out on about how much space each individual plant needs, and give it that space. And then for whatever square footage your raised bed is, to plant the whole thing. Because if you have a contiguous space that is planted with organic, has this organic matter in it and is being irrigated, then it will more efficiently manage the dryness, the wind, and the sun than one that's half planted, if you see what I mean. So that's the one thing. And the next thing is that I wouldn't be discouraged if you can't get your garden going right now, if you haven't done it yet and you're not sure you're going to be able to. I wouldn't be discouraged about that, because there are a lot of things that you can do to prepare for fall and winter growing. And for example, choosing the ideal spot for your garden, getting the soil mix right, getting the stuff you need, like seed trays and seeds and soil, and just think it through. And install a drip irrigation, which will be just a huge benefit to your garden and help your plants grow really well. And I'm tempted to do a video just on installing drip irrigation, if you guys think that's interesting, and maybe one on keeping things alive. I'd love your feedback, because this is for you, and I wanted to make something that's helpful to you and gets you growing food. So that's what I got today, and I hope you are all doing well. I look forward to us all being together again.